Hello fellow nerds and welcome to my channel where I do Yu-Gi-Oh! Box openings, anime reviews, and game reviews. Today I'm going to do something new and start making versus videos in which I take two fictional characters and put them up against each other to see who would win. Now, the way I have it set up is there will be 4 rounds, and in each round I will compare each fighter's physical and mental ability, skills, resources, and accomplishments. By the end of all the rounds, I will add up the scores and see who would win. Alright, now that I've explained how it works, let's move on to our first 2 fighters. Nightwing vs Red Hood. That's right, the first Robin versus the second Robin. Let's find out which one is the best. Before we begin the fight, I would like to give a little bit about their origins. And on another note, there are different origins for these characters because of so many comic book arcs. So I would choose the most latest versions of them. Let's start with Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, aka Second Robin. Jason Todd was a troubled youth. Jason's mom was an addict and his father was a criminal. Jason's father taught Jason the ropes on how to be a criminal. Pretty soon, Jason's father was put in prison and Jason had to fend for himself and his mom. Jason also suffered a loss when his mom died of an overdose. Jason soon comes face to face with Batman when Jason steals prescription medication from a doctor's office. Later on, Batman, or should I say Bruce Wayne, brings Jason into his home and reveals his identity to Jason. Then Batman offers Jason the role of Robin and of course Jason accepts. After 6 months of intense training, Jason finally gets to hit the streets as Robin. Soon it is seen that Jason is a lot more aggressive and brutal to the criminals than Batman first thought. Jason ends up being captured by the Joker and is ultimately killed. He is later resurrected by Talia al Ghul and soon picks up the mantle of Red Hood. Alright, now time for Nightwing. Dick Grayson was the son of 2 acrobats of a circus called Haley's Circus. The 3 of them were known as the Flying Graysons. The circus headed to Gotham and the night that the Graysons were going to perform, Dick overhears a gangster talking to the owner of the circus, and the gangster was trying to extort money from the circus, and then he threatened to do something bad if the owner didn't comply. Dick was hesitant to tell somebody, and ultimately decided not to. While Dick and his parents are in the middle of their performance, the ropes are sabotaged by the gangster and Dick's parents fell before his very eyes. Bruce Wayne was in the stands watching and witnessed the whole tragedy. Bruce feels sorry for Dick because of Bruce also witnessing his own parents' murder, decided to offer Dick a place at his mansion. Not soon after, Dick goes on the hunt for his parents' killer, searching through the worst parts of Gotham, trying to find clues to the whereabouts of Tony Zuko. One night, Dick comes across Batman beating up some thugs in the alley, and Dick decides to jump in and help. Soon Batman was watching over Dick from afar, making sure he doesn't get into too much trouble. Batman then confronts Dick and brings him to the Batcave. At this point, Dick has already figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and they make a pact to fight for justice so that what happened to them wouldn't happen to anyone else. Dick is then trained by Batman for many months until he is finally ready for the streets. The duo fight crime together until Dick decides that he has outgrown his Robin persona and quits the team. This is when he picks up the mantle of Nightwing and fights crime on his own. Okay, that is their origins, and now it's time to find out which one of these 2 is the better fighter. Starting with round 1, physical and mental abilities. Both fighters were trained by Batman in martial arts, so it's safe to say that both have achieved top physical form. Nightwing, thanks to his acrobatic background, had a head start in his training, and in the DC universe, he is regarded as the best acrobat. This makes Nightwing an agile fighter, always moving and jumping around. He is also faster than Batman, choosing speed and quick moves to take down his opponents. Red Hood, on the other hand, has a background in being a thug, so he grew up fighting for his life. Red Hood is more of a powerhouse, using force and power to take down his enemies. I wouldn't say he is slow, but he doesn't use speed and agility as much as other members of the Bat family, and I'm sure he can take a beating. Red Hood's mental condition is not great at all. I mean, after being revived with the Lazarus Pits, he came back unstable and has been known to have psychotic outbursts. And also, considering what he went through with his parents, his built up rage, and the fact that the Joker killed him. Shit like that will change a man. Red Hood also possesses a good mind and is a good detective. Nightwing is in good mental state. Well, considering the fact that he saw his parents get killed and all the shit he saw when he was Robin. But like Batman, he is calm, decisive, and always calculating. And Nightwing has something that Batman doesn't. He has healed from the tragedy of witnessing his parents' death and has decided to celebrate the way they lived and not hold on to their deaths like Batman does. Nightwing also possesses a genius level intellect, not as high as Batman, but a genius nonetheless. I believe both of them are about equally physically, but Nightwing has more of a stable mental state, which allows him to make the best decision in a critical moment. So I give this point to Nightwing. Round 2. Skills. Like I said before, both Nightwing and Red Hood were trained by Batman, so they are even when it comes to their training with Batman. Red Hood, after being revived, went to go train with a group called the Allcast, and was trained by Bronze Tiger and Lady Shiva, both being really badass martial artists whose skills rival Batman himself. Red Hood was also trained by Nightwing himself, so that might give him an edge when he's fighting Nightwing. As far as I can find during my research, Nightwing is mostly trained by Batman and is a master of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, Karate, Muay Thai, Judo, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, Shaolin Kung Fu, Ninjutsu, and Capoeira. It is safe to assume that Red Hood also possesses these martial arts skills because of his training with Batman. They both are extremely good at stealth, which is hard to tell which one is stealthier. They both have excellent tracking abilities. Nightwing is trained in escapology, which means he can get out of any traps or, if he's bound by something. They are both looking good in the skills department. Both being trained by master martial artists, I feel Red Hood has more of diversity in fighting due to the fact that he is trained with more masters, but what Nightwing has is more experience and has been fighting crime a lot longer, which means he is more comfortable fighting in his own way. So it comes down to experience, and Nightwing wins that because of how long he's been in the crime fighting game. Since Red Hood was dead for a while, it shows that he does not have as much experience as Nightwing does. So, point goes to Nightwing. Round 3, Resources. Both Red Hood and Nightwing have separated from Batman, so they are left with funding themselves pretty much. Nightwing's parents left him a small trust fund that Lucius Fox turned into a small fortune that helps him pay for his suits and gadgets. Red Hood is mostly funded through his connection with the Outcast and Talia al Ghul. They're the ones who supply Red Hood with his weapons. Red Hood, unlike others from the Bat family, chooses to use guns or lethal weapons such as a rocket launcher, explosive devices, and knives. As for his gadgets, he has a radio transmitter and receiver as well as night vision mode in his helmet. The helmet itself is made to withstand knives and gunfire only to a certain degree. His suit is bulletproof and has a glider rings in his forearms. He has gauntlets that contain his weapons. His favorite weapon to use is his customized Jericho 941. He also has shurikens, grappling hook, and finally he has a flame dagger similar to the one Ra's al Ghul has. Nightwing Suit is made out of Nomax fireproof triple weaved material that has been lined with Kevlar and is also insulated against electricity. His suit is also light sensitive, darkening when there is more light in the area. His mask has a built-in radio transmitter / receiver and a starlight night vision lenses. He also has a computer link in his glasses to examine things or analyze things. The lenses can zoom and magnify his vision. It also has an electromagnetic vision, which includes thermal, sonar, and X-ray vision. Nightwing also wears ear dampeners in defense against sonic attacks. He has gauntlets on his hands and legs, which have 8 compartments for his gadgets. His right gauntlets have a 1000 volt stun gun and an air-driven launcher that shoots darts. His gadgets consist of smoke/smoke pellets, or sonic and smoke pellets, wingdings, which are a modified version of the batarang, knockout gas pellets, flares, rebreather, a mini computer, lock picks, first aid kit, grappling hook, and his eskrima sticks. Dang, that was a mouthful. It looks like Nightwing has more gadgets than Red Hood. It seems that Nightwing has more of an edge when it comes to the resources, and a more diverse stash of gadgets that will help him out during a fight. Point goes to Nightwing. Round 4. Accomplishments. Both Nightwing and Red Hood have been Robin, that's one accomplishment. Both of them have been successful on their own. Red Hood is leading a small group known as the Outlaws, in which they are mercenaries for hire. Red Hood has saved members of the Bat family many times. Well, to be honest, I'm not finding much for his accomplishments. I mean, he hasn't really done anything big. Nightwing, on the other hand, has been Robin for the longest time. He has taken over the role of Batman many times and is likely the successor to the Cowl. He has led the Justice League, Teen Titans, and Outsiders, and I think the most important of all his achievements is he has actually beaten Batman in a fight. As far as accomplishments go, Nightwing has definitely outclassed Red Hood. Point goes to Nightwing. Okay, it's time to see who won this fight. Well, as you saw, Nightwing has taken all the points, and to be honest, before I started the research, I honestly thought it was going to be neck and neck. But the more I read, and the more it became clear that Nightwing is the obvious winner. Red Hood is not a person to be taken lightly, and he has shown that he can stand up to villains and defeat them. But due to the lack of resources, skills, mental ability, and the fact that he hasn't done any big accomplishments, shows that Red Hood does not have the experience needed to defeat Nightwing. Let's say both Nightwing and Red Hood were on the rooftop ready to fight. Red Hood would bust out with his guns and start to fire at Nightwing. Nightwing would then throw a smoke pellet down to block Red Hood's vision. Then Red Hood would run into the smoke trying to get it to jump on Nightwing. Nightwing has all different types of visions modes in his mask, which would help him see through the smoke. Nightwing would then attack Red Hood and disarm him. Now it turns to a hand-to-hand combat. Both are excellent fighters, so they will be blocking and countering each other the whole entire time. And this is where Red Hood lack of mental stability will come into play. Nightwing will start to taunt Red Hood and tell him personal things. Of course, Red Hood would try to block out the taunts, but his ego and inferiority complex towards him being the second Robin will push the Red Hood to try harder and use more force in his punches. Of course, Nightwing is calm, and even if Red Hood would taunt back at Nightwing would not be affected by this at all. Getting even more frustrated, Red Hood would try to gain the advantage by getting his weapons back. But Nightwing will see that and act quickly to get in his way. And this is where Red Hood would make the mistake, and Nightwing will use this opportunity to strike quickly and immobilize Red Hood, and use his eskrima sticks to tase the shit out of Red Hood, and that is when Nightwing will knock out Red Hood to win the fight. This type of scenario was running through my head while I was making this fight. So in my opinion, Nightwing wins, but of course this is my conclusion while doing the research. Thanks. Alright, so anyways, thanks for watching. Tell me how you like this video, and if you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments below. I would also like to give a shout out to my boy Scorpion who helped me make this video. You guys should go check him out. He does top 10 lists and Dragon Ball Z videos. I will leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching and goodbye.